Hi, everyone. Good, look at that. That's good audience participation. I kind of feel like I'm at a comedy gig. Unfortunately, I'm not very funny. So if you come here for comedy, you're in the wrong place. But we have some really good drinks. Something I always forget to do, but I think we should do right now, because like I said, I'll forget by the end of the session, is there 3 amazing people at the back who are going to be doing all the cocktails. So if we give them a massive round of applause. It's Nicholas, Freddie, and Scoot. So if they taste bad, don't blame me or my gin. That's not a gin, but blame them. So, I am Sam. I don't know why I include a photo of myself. I'm right here in front of you. But I make this product here, minus 33. So has anyone tried this before? Anyone seen it before? Okay, just tonight, yeah, a few people, a few fans, good. Hopefully I'll convert you all by the end of the evening. I actually have no idea what's on these slides. I put them together a long time ago, and so I'm just going to roll through them, and hopefully it'll make sense as we go. So yeah, a little bit about myself. I've always kind of wanted to do my own thing, mainly because I think I'm unemployable, and that's because I am. Finished studying, and no one wanted to give me a job, so I kind of thought, what did I learn about at uni? And drinking and food seemed to be the main things that came to mind. So I stuck with that. I had run my own business beforehand, running club nights at a lovely club called Cav in Edinburgh, if anyone's ever been there. And was really into my sports, so that was me with the Olympic torch. I got into a lot of trouble for that photo, because apparently it wasn't in the Olympic spirit. But I like to do things a bit differently. I like having fun with what I do, and so hopefully that'll come through as I go through this. So I finished studying, no one wanted to give me a job, so I thought, well, I need to make myself a bit more employable. Went and did a master's in business, learned a bit about how to run a company and set one up. Still haven't got a clue, but hopefully if you all buy bottles before you leave, that might help me a little bit. I speak really quickly, by the way. You've probably already picked that up, but I'll try and speak slowly. Does everyone understand what I'm saying so far? Okay, good, okay. I just have to remind myself to slow down. So yeah, went back, started doing a master's, did a dissertation on launching a gin brand. So I did just that. Decided to call it Loca Bev. The reason why I called Loca, does anyone know what that means? Crazy, yes, exactly. One, because I'm a bit nuts myself. But more importantly, I spent 4 years studying Spanish, a degree I no longer really use. So I kind of thought I had to pay a bit of homage to that. So that's kind of where it came in. There's also a hidden meaning within that, which we'll get to later on. And yeah, so I'll leave the suspense there. Okay, I just love that t-shirt. You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. So what happened is I decided I wanted to make a gin, knew nothing about making a gin, met some friends who introduced me to some other friends, and I met this guy called Corey Mason, who's a complete nutcase, who worked in a lab at Heriot Watt creating spirits, and he invited me in and he said, I'm going to teach you how to make some gin, and the issue is you're not a student here, so we're going to have to sneak you in. So he was a night owl, so he'd get there at 6 p.m. He'd open the back door for me. I'd sort of run in with my little bag of notes and whatever we'd made the night, well, the first time, nothing. But what I'd normally make the night before. And we'd spend the whole night, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. making alcohol. So I love this t-shirt because it sounds like it was a lot of fun, but drinking for 12 hours from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. is actually really, really difficult. And then trying to get home at 7 a.m. after doing about 10 recipes, because we do about 10 recipes a night, and it comes off as still about 85%, can be a bit of a challenge. But all in the name of research and creating a great tasting product for you guys to enjoy. So like I said, 10 recipes a night, 50 a week, and then I meet up people like yourselves and ask them for their feedback. At the end of each week, I take what I'd learnt from those sessions to back to the lab and try and improve the recipe to try and make the best tasting gin we could. This is a photo of it. Like I said, I don't really know what's on these slides, so I'm hoping nothing too inappropriate comes up when I click next. So yeah, so we created minus 33. So this is actually where it became really interesting. So trying to make a gin, met lots of gin lovers, and then the recipe they chose as their favorite was a 33% spirit. So I'm in the way. Now, does anyone know what the minimum legal ABV for a gin is? No? Okay, good. Or bad, I don't know. It's good for me. You have to, legally, within the EU, have a minimum ABV of 37.5%. So anything below that can't be called a gin, vodka, rum, tequila, anything. But people actually prefer the flavor at that level. So we kind of had this dilemma. Do we compromise the flavor to make it a gin, or just keep it where it was? And being sort of slightly wacky, not following the rules kind of person I was, decided to keep it at a slightly lower level. We used 9 9 botanicals. We don't add any sugars. The benefit of not adding sugar and it being a low ABV, it's also slightly lower calorie as well. So for me, there we go. There we go. So for me, that just means I can justify having another 10 each night. Anyway, I think this is a good time. Everyone looks a bit thirsty. I think it's a good time to bring the neat samples around. So these are neat. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like trying spirits neat, but it's actually not that. It's quite smooth spirit, number one. Secondly, it tastes awesome. And the best way to try and taste the spirit is actually just to smell it and give it a little go. So enjoy. Watch out for that back row, Freddy. I saw them putting in their eyes earlier. They're a hardcore bunch. So what do we think? Has everyone had a chance to try it? Okay, good. A lot of nodding heads. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. I will knock you out. No. So, there is 9 botanicals in there. With a lower ABV, we found that alcohol and spice work really, really well together. So the more alcohol you have, the more spicy it tastes. The more spicy it is, the more you feel the alcohol burn. So reducing it ever so slightly, it meant you actually got more of the floral citrus notes coming through. The lavender, the elderflower, the orange, the lemon. And as a result, you had a balance of all those flavors. So you still get the juniper, you still get some of the dry notes, but you also get the other flavors in there as well. So the subtle flavors just kind of coming to the fore a little bit. So Dare to be different. So yeah, that was a big decision, making it not a gin, because we kind of thought, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? We're going to be the weird people on the end, and we are. We're in there around a lot of other gins. But we did it all in our quest to create the best tasting gin we could. So obviously got the recipe ready and decided, let's make a big batch of it. So even though we're based on Rosyth, I couldn't afford my own distillery, so I had the friend Corey, the guy who helped me with the recipe. He started working for a distillery down in Surrey, and I didn't really trust anyone else to ensure the quality of the flavor, so decided to drive the 8 hours it is to get down there. And so what we do is we rent their distillery for a day or two every time we need to get a batch done. And this is it just before we cooked our first ever batch. So you can make out some of the darker colors, those are our juniper berries. The lighter colors are the coriander seeds, which bring the citrus flavors through as well. What you can't see is there's a big basket at the top, which has our more subtle botanicals. So we found that vapor infusing those, so lavender, elderflower, orange, and lemon, means you actually keep the temperature of those ever so slightly lower. It means you don't destroy as much of the flavor. It comes across a lot better than if you just stuck it in the pot and heated it up. So that's a still that we use, all nice and shiny. Does anyone understand how distillation works? They want a little talk chat about it. In essence, you just heat up a pot of alcohol, all the ingredients, you let it turn into vapors, you cool it down, and it tastes amazing at the end. You get rid of the some people, the heads are quite bitter and quite harsh. You get a lot of the harsher alcohols within that. They're the ones that make it sting. So your cheaper alcohols, everyone's had Glen's vodka, yeah. Not exactly the nicest, but they cut costs. Because that's what they try and do. They try and make vodka as accessible as possible. And as a result, they keep a lot more of the heads in there. It doesn't taste so good. A lot of spirits will add sugar to make that smoothness come through as well. We don't do that. We cut a lot of heads out. We cut a lot of the tails out as well. And we're quite picky about what goes in there. But as you distill it, each flavor comes off at a different time. So lemon comes off first. You almost have like a limoncello tasting spirit at first, and the juniper comes, and the coriander. So you can actually taste each ingredient coming through, which is quite cool. We use a wood boiler as well. So we stole this off a steam engine. So the way we heat our liquid is we just stick some wood in that little steam engine boiler, and we try and keep it as sustainable as possible. So all the wood comes from literally the farm that's next door to us, and we try and be as, responsible as possible. So even the oranges, so we use the peels for the gin, but the oranges we don't really have a use for. So we feed them to the Aberdeen Angus cows that live next door, and the lemons we turn into lemon juice, which goes into pretty good cocktails, which you'll try in a minute. That's our still. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. You can see at that there's a temperature of about 80 degrees Celsius, so that is really hot to touch. That's all the vapors traveling up it. So yeah, you heat it up, the vapors come through, down here, they travel up, they condense, and it comes off this little tap here. Moving on. And yeah, so we hand bottle and label everything. So I'm allowed to fill them, but I am the worst person at sticking a label on. So if you ever see one of my bottles and the label squint or got a bubble in it or just hadn't really been put on, it's probably me who tried it and failed. So even though it's my own business, I get bullied around and told not to do that for my own good, I think. So yeah, we hand fill them and then we let them dry, and that was my first batch. So that was done about 1.5 years ago, and so you can tell it's probably a little bit skinnier then. You think with a lower calorie gin, I wouldn't have actually added the pounds on that much, but no. So that was our first batch done there, and then we started selling it. So we launched in March last year, and this is the International Food and Drink Exhibition, and what made me really proud, I guess, was the fact that our bottle was at the very front of the top 100 brand new products for 2015, so that was quite cool. Woo! And yeah, we took it from there. Another really good bit of news that we got later that year. In fact, everyone's thirsty. Let's get some more drinks in. Freddie, how are we doing drinks-wise? Good to go. Brilliant. Okay, so this is a 33 Summer Cup, I believe. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, so this is, all the cocktails you can get today are really simple to make at home. The recipes are on our website. This one is green tea, syrup, obviously minus 33, and a bit of soda water. Stick a bit of fruit in it, a bit of mint, and it works pretty well. A bit like a Pim's cocktail, but yeah, give them a go. So I can make spirits, but I'm really bad at making cocktails. So luckily, Freddie and Nicola have been doing all the work for us. We are selling all these cocktails at our stand. Like I said, they are really simple. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to make them. But really easy to make at home. Like, we really like simplicity when it comes to making things taste great. So we have green tea. We use agave syrup, but you can use sugar syrup. Minus 33, and use soda water. So you just use a little bit of all those. Top it off with soda water. A lot of ice works pretty well. And then we'll have the raspberry fizz come in. I think as you leave, you'll have the raspberry fizz, which is a bigger drink, so you can enjoy that. So we launched, and then I went on a long weekend to Barcelona, and while I was there, just tweeted a photo of our bottle in Barcelona, and this blogger here, Gin Connoisseur, I don't know if any of you know of them, got in touch, and they're like, "Are you in Barcelona? We should meet up." Now, interestingly enough, Gin Connoisseur is the most followed blogger in the world for gin. And not only did he accept minus 33 as a gin, he also gave it what was the highest taste and packaging score. So not only had we created a gin that wasn't a gin, it was also better tasting than the other gins. So yeah, let's have a clap for that one. Thank you. And it kept getting better. I mean, well, the press kept getting better. We still need to sell a lot more, but the good news was that for 2015, we were nominated at number 19 of the top 50 global innovations for spirits, which wasn't, I guess, it's one of these times, it's strange, actually, right now I kind of feel like, that's pretty good, but when these things happen, you kind of just get on with them, you sort of run around and think we need to sell the next bottle, but strange to think that sort of a business in Rosyth, with just one employee, me, was able to kind of take on a lot of the really big drinks companies in the world and actually have a product listed within that. So, works really well, neat. I think as you probably have all maybe tried and decided, but works really well in cocktails as well. So a gin martini, does anyone like gin martinis in here? Got a few here, yeah. So this works perfectly for gin martini because it's not actually that strong. So all you have to do is dilute it for a few seconds, cool it down, swill it over ice, strain it out into a martini glass, a little twist of lemon, and it's absolutely delicious. It is very, very, very potent, so you can't really have more than one or two of those a night. Also, your friends think you're really pretentious if you go to a bar and ask for a gin martini because you can get quite geeky, but everyone's a bit geeky about how they like theirs. So my friends just stopped buying me drinks. But yeah, it works really well for light tonic. Obviously, we're pushing the lower ABV, lower calorie element of it. And also works really well in cocktails, as hopefully you'll agree with the ones that have come round. Some really cool photos. Those are actually quite interesting. Who thinks that's a real photo? One person thinks it's real. Who thinks it's like CGI? Grab hands up. Yeah, okay, so this, Okay, let's go back a few photos as well. And who thinks that's a real photo? Yeah, okay, interesting. So that photo there is fake. That was actually all created on a computer before the product had even finished. This one, on the other hand, is real. So that was me. You can't see me, but I was behind a big black sheet here. We had a spring, had lots of drinks, and we were just flinging them up in the air, someone taking a camera. And they turned out really, really well. And the level of detail, you can't really see it too well on this projector, was absolutely amazing. Got completely soaked, but it was a lot of fun making them. So this is a variation of a cocktail you're going to get later on. So, like I said, we'd like to keep things simple. This only has about 4 ingredients in it. As you can tell, I still don't know what's coming on the next slide, but it looks like it's just lots of photos. And that looks like it could be the end. So, I think at that point, what I'd like to do is ask if there are any questions in the room about Minus 33, about the story, about how we got here, and all the rest. So, open it up to the floor. Okay, we'll go here first, and I'll come over across to you. Yeah.
Where is it sold? Where can we get it?
Okay, yeah, so, good question. So one of the things that you'll find with all the craft spirit producers is actually quite hard to get the distribution. So the big companies have that all in place. So if anyone's seen Hay Club, that whiskey, that Diageo launch of David Beckham, they pretty much got into every shop in the world within the same week. We all struggle because we have to get into it. The drinks industry is quite interesting because you have wholesalers and then you have a lot of middlemen. But I'm just taking a really long way to answer this question. Are you based in Glasgow? Or where do you live? Glasgow, okay, so GG Brothers stock it, and then the Finniston stock it at the bar. Yeah, GG Brothers is great. So we're working on Glasgow. So if every time you're in a bar in Glasgow, ask for it, because that actually does help us get it stocked in there. We've got a lot of bars in Edinburgh, because I'm based out that way, and Dundee, Perth, and Aberdeen, but we're trying to work on the Glasgow scene. So if you go into a shop, just ask for it loads, and hopefully they'll call me up, and we can get it there. So yeah, that's it. And you also can get it online, so go online to buy some. And there's a shop through here who's selling it for a little bit less today, so get some there.
I was just going to ask, has it been difficult, or has there been any sort of changes or things, restrictions in terms of marketing it, because you're saying it's not strictly a gin by definition, but it is.
Yeah.
Did they create any issues for that, or did it just down to your own ingenuity?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. So the rules around alcohol are very, very strict, as you probably know. You can't actually even be served alcohol if you look under 25 without being asked for your ID. And the same goes for the marketing around it. And so we actually found a lot of different issues with marketing spirit. Firstly, we couldn't call it gin, so we had to create a new name for it, a new category of spirit. And so Juniper Distilled Spirit was pretty much the sexiest legal name we could get away with. We don't really like it that much, and obviously once you've had a few of them, it becomes even harder and harder to say. But the good thing is everyone stocks it as a gin, and they sell it on the gin shelves. So that was one element of it. Interestingly enough, though, because it's not a gin, we actually seem to get a bit more interest, because I once actually went into a bar in Edinburgh. I walked in the door. The guy could tell I was there to sell him something. And his exact words were, "If you're in here to sell me another fucking gin, you can fuck off." Right? And this guy, he was a lot bigger than me. And I sort of paused for a second. I thought, okay, this could end badly. Do I turn around or just be a bit cheeky? So I said, well, actually, it's not a gin. So I sat down, we spoke about it. At the end, he was like, well, it is a gin, isn't it? I was like, he's going to hit me now. And then he ended up saying, well, I like it, we'll stock it. So that was pretty good. There's some other issues around the fact that because it's a low ABV spirit, because we don't use sugar and it's lower calorie, we did want to communicate that. But health and alcohol are pretty much big no-nos. So trying to get them together, try and say it's even a lower calorie spirit is actually technically not really allowed. So we try and let other people, bloggers and all the rest, say it is, and we just sort of pretend that we didn't say it. But it's quite hard to go with. Fortunately, there's a trade standards enforcement group who both sort of police all this, and so there's a lot of work communicating with them about what we could put on the bottle. So we couldn't say it was lower calorie, but we could put the calories on there. Interestingly enough, we got away with writing "creative a dose for healthy curiosity" on the front, because that is our strap line. There's a little play on words there. And also, I mentioned earlier, loca means crazy. Element of low-cal within that as well. So I'm not too sure how much of it I should be saying that live in public while being filmed, because they might come after me. But what we found is that the alcohol industry are committed to reducing the amount of alcohol in their drinks, but the rules are actually making it really impossible and hard to do that. So we just thought by stepping apart, we might be able to kind of lead a movement towards what we think is better tasting drinks, because the innovation is actually happening outside what the rules are, because we feel people being constricted by it. And yeah, just do something a little bit different. We're not the first to do it. So Captain Morgan, everyone, does people know who Captain Morgan is? Well, who he is, what it is. Who would say it's a spiced rum? Yeah, so spiced rum actually legally as a category doesn't exist, but they've done really well in marketing it just as that. If you ever go into a supermarket and look at the bottle, it'll just say premium spirit drink. That is what they legally have to call it. But then they'll say Caribbean rum with spices and natural flavors, which also is not very sexy, just like Juniper distilled spirit. But it's, you know, it's going to be a long slog, and it's going to be a lot of work educating people like yourselves. But hopefully you can go tell everyone how amazing it is and how much you love it, and we'll take it on the world one bottle at a time. But, any other questions? All right, everyone's thirsty. Okay, good. Give a quick shout. Are we all? Yeah, we've got thumbs up. So on your way out, we've got your final cocktail. We're selling some of these as well, but you'll probably get one for free. Why not? We have got cocktails at stand, so please come see me. This one is really simple to make at home as well. It's just lemon juice, 2 parts lemon juice, 2 parts -33, 1 part syrup, and then you top it up with soda water and a champagne flute. Well, you shake it over ice first with raspberries. I get that a bit wrong. But then you top it up with some soda water, and it tastes really, really good. Really easy to make at home. Lots of cocktails on our website. I actually was meant to bring some flyers, and I forgot them. So please come to my stand and take them. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for coming. And yeah.